You reach into your pocket, take out a small glass rectangle, and pull down with your thumb. The screen spins for half a second. Then it serves you something. Maybe something good, maybe nothing. You do not know which until you do it, and that not knowing is precisely the point. You have just pulled the lever on a slot machine. You did not feel like a gambler. You felt like a person checking their phone. But that gesture, the pull to refresh, was copied from the machines that keep gamblers in casino chairs for hours on end. Your phone feels the way it does because it was engineered to by some of the most talented people of our time, working with budgets larger than most countries for one purpose: to take something from you, not your money, something you do not even think of as a possession. Your attention. Here is the part that should unsettle you. No one made you. You downloaded it yourself. Willingly, you clicked I agree. The most sophisticated system for harvesting human beings ever built does not need to force anyone because we volunteer. We line up. We pay for the privilege of being mined. Once you see the shape of this, you cannot unsee it. And seeing it clearly may be the first piece of your attention you have truly owned in years. Your attention is not just a feeling, it is a commodity bought and sold in enormous volumes on markets you will never see. The first person to name this clearly was the economist Herbert Simon in 1971, before the internet, before the smartphone. Simon noticed something deceptively simple. When information becomes abundant, something else becomes scarce, because information has to be consumed by something. And what it consumes, he wrote, is the attention of its recipients. A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. We would drown in information. The scarce, fought over resource would be the capacity to attend to it. Attention would become the gold. And where there is gold, there are miners. The writer Tim Wu calls them the attention merchants, and their model has barely changed in a century. Offer something free, a diversion and entertainment, a feed. Gather the attention it attracts. Sell that attention in bulk to advertisers. You are not the customer here. You never were. The customer is the one who pays, and you are not paying. The artist Richard Serra said it coldly in 1973 about television. You are the product. You are delivered to the advertiser, who is the customer. He consumes you. 50 years ago, you were already the harvest. All that has changed is that the screen now fits in your hand, follows you into your bed, and knows your name. So attention is the gold. How do they mine it so reliably against your own wishes? You do not want to spend hours a day on your phone. You say so. Surveys say so. And you do it anyway. Why? The answer goes back to the psychologist P.F. Skinner, who discovered something strange about reward. Give an animal a reward every time it presses a lever, and it presses at a steady bored rate. But give the reward unpredictably. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. No pattern it can find, and the animal presses far more, far longer, almost frantically. Uncertainty is more compelling than certainty. The maybe is stronger than the yes. That is the principle behind every slot machine ever built. And it is the principle behind the feed you scrolled this morning. The people inside have admitted it. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google, described the phone in your pocket as a slot machine, and his industry as locked in a race to the bottom of the brainstem, competing to bypass your judgment and hook the oldest parts of your brain. The man who invented infinite scroll, Asa Raskin, now speaks of his creation with open regret. It is as if, he said, they are taking behavioral cocaine and sprinkling it all over your interface. These are not outside critics guessing. These are the engineers describing their own work. Which means you are not failing to resist a neutral tool. You are losing predictably to a machine built by experts to defeat your self-control. And then you blame yourself for losing a fight that was rigged before you ever picked up the phone. But it goes deeper than attention, and this is where we reach the strangest part. The part where you agreed. The Harvard scholar Shoshana Zuboff gave our era a name. Surveillance capitalism, she calls it, defined as the unilateral claiming of private human experience as free raw material. Sit with those words. Not just your attention, your experience, your clicks, your pauses, the words you typed and then deleted, who you answered instantly and who you left on read. All of it harvested not as a side effect but as the point and refined into predictions about what you will do next, sold to whoever wants to influence what you do next. You are not just being watched, you are being turned into a forecast, and the forecast is the product. And you agree to it. In a contract you did not read, could not have understood, and were never free to negotiate. The terms of service, the little box you tick to make the screen go away. That tick signed over your inner life in exchange for convenience, for connection, for the feed. The philosopher Byung-Chul Han takes this to its most uncomfortable conclusion. We have left the old world of external control, of guards and walls and bosses for something subtler and far more effective. We control ourselves now. We are, in his phrase, master and slave in one. No one forces you to post, to perform, to check, to refresh. You drive yourself to it and you call it freedom. And that, Han says, is precisely why it works. It is the most efficient domination ever devised because it does not feel like domination. It feels like choice. It feels like you. The cage has no bars because you have agreed to be your own guard. And if part of you wants to protest that these tools genuinely give you something, you are right. But that is not the rebuttal you think it is. That is the mechanism. The connection is real. The delight is real. If it gave you nothing, you would have put it down years ago. The trap is not that it is worthless. It is that it is valuable enough to keep you while taking far more than it gives, on terms you never got to set. The most effective cage is not the empty one. It is the one with just enough food inside that you never check whether the door is open. So ask the deeper question. Why does this matter? It is just attention, just hours on a screen. So what? For the answer, go back to a single sentence written in 1890 by William James, the father of American psychology, long before there was anything to scroll. James was asking what a human life actually consists of from the inside, and he arrived at a definition so simple it is easy to miss how radical it is. My experience, he wrote, is what I agree to attend to. At every moment, millions of things press on your senses and almost none of them ever enter your life because you do not attend to them. The only parts of the world that become your experience, that become your one and only life as you actually live it, are the parts you pay attention to. Your attention is not a resource you spend. It is the thing your life is made of. Now, hold that next to everything else. If your life is your attention, then an industry built to capture your attention is not in the business of distraction. It is in the business of your life. Every hour they harvest is an hour of your finite, irreplaceable existence spent attending to whatever served their interest instead of yours. They are not stealing minutes. They are quietly authoring you, choosing on your behalf what your one consciousness will be filled with, and therefore, slowly, what kind of person you become. This is where you might expect the usual advice. Delete the apps. Turn off the notifications. Go outside. Do those things. They help, but they are not the point. The deepest thing being contested here is not your screen time. It is your sovereignty. The capacity to decide for yourself what you will give your one mind to. A person who cannot direct their own attention cannot think a thought through to the end, cannot stay with another person long enough to truly know them, cannot even hear themselves over the noise. To lose command of your attention is to lose command of your life, one refresh at a time. So, the real act of resistance is both smaller and far larger than deleting an app. It is reclaiming the simple, radical power to choose where your attention goes. To give your attention on purpose to a person, a piece of work, a sky, an idea, an hour of quiet is the most basic form of authorship available to a human being. And it is, in the end, a kind of love. We give our attention to what we care about, and over a lifetime, we come to care about whatever we have given our attention to. The harvest will go on with or without your permission. The machines are not going to stop. But you can do the one thing they are built to prevent. You can notice. You can feel the pull of the lever and just sometimes not pull it and turn the full weight of your attention towards something you actually chose. That is not a productivity trick. It is the beginning of getting your life back. Because your attention was never simply being spent. It was always quietly the whole of what you had.